A huge thank you to the amazing sponsors of the 2026 Birding on Bolivar series, Beachy Beatnik Boutique, Priest Insurance Agency, and the Houston Audubon Society. Thank you for your support of Birding on Bolivar 2026. Hey everybody, I'm here in the studio, but wanted to let y'all know it's Birding on Bolivar 2026 and the secret phrase. So stay tuned, watch the show, and sometime during the show or at the end of the show, I'm going to give out the secret phrase. You can win an RTIC cooler when you find the Bolivar Live truck. Let's go watch Birding on Bolivar 2026, and sometime I'll give out the secret phrase. Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and once again it's Birding on Bolivar 2026. I'm here with Wyatt, our professional birder that works for the Houston Audubon, but right now we're at the Rookery. And out of all the locations, this has got to be my most favorite, and a lot of people love it. It's the building behind us, it's the area, it's the Rookery, it's what you see here and how you get to it. It's real easy, but let's talk first about the bathrooms and the history of the area.
Sure. So we're here at Smith Oaks Sanctuary, which includes the Rookery in about 177 acres. And so a lot of this sanctuary, about half of it was owned by the Smiths. And so the western portion has a lot of large oak trees that were all planted about 150 years ago, mostly by John Brown. And then on this side of the sanctuary, this was all very much a part of the oil and gas industry. So in the early 1900s, when they did strike oil here in High Island, they needed water to deal with the sulfur, and they needed a place to put all their pumps to pump the oil. And so that's kind of what this big building that you see as you walk in, that's a 100-year-old building that was used for the pump house. And the ponds themselves were used, the clay bottom pond, which is kind of the main pond that folks check out when they come to the Rookery. That was all part of that oil and natural gas production. The other pond, Smith Pond, was actually dug to be the drinking water for the town.
Oh, was it?
And so about in the 1970s, they eventually switched over to a pipeline. So that pond actually didn't even have an island on it until very recently when we put an island on it.
So, okay. I can tell you, every time I come out here, I take a picture or 2 or 3 pictures of this building because it has the old window frames and none of the windows are in it anymore, but it's just that look. I mean, and you can do wonders if you do any editing, what you can do. You can make it look modern or you can make it look old. But we're going to take off and take you through a lot of the Rookery today. We're going to go up and do another shot up here and talk about the skywalk because it really puts you at bird's eye level, I guess you could say.
It puts you in the canopy.
In the canopy, so stay tuned. Well, now we're on the skywalk, and when I say canopy, we're actually in the cloud canopy today almost. It's a little foggy out, but I don't know if you can see. This walkway comes up from the parking area and is elevated. How about how high is it above ground?
I don't remember, sorry.
It's gotta be about 25, 30 feet, but it goes down and then it tees off and goes to a pond over here. What's the main objective of the skywalk?
So in putting in the canopy walkway, our goal was to get you a canopy eye view of the birds. So as I mentioned earlier, when they migrate in, and they cross the Gulf, you know, they're not always super tired, and a lot of these birds like to forage up in the canopy. So as a birder, you're going to spend a lot of time doing this, and your neck's going to hurt if you spend all day looking way up into the tops of the trees.
Right.
So this gives you a nice eye-level view of a lot of these species that otherwise it's kind of difficult to see. The other objective was to give us a better kind of downward look at our Rookery ponds, and so then people get an enhanced experience getting to see all the different behaviors and just colors and activities of all those nesting birds.
I know when I come up here, either I go in the back way and make my way this way, but this time of year I like coming up here because I like walking up to the end And it's not just the canopies that you can see, it's the ground below. And you'll see squirrels and hogs, and especially when it warms up, there's some low areas, you see gators and all kinds of stuff down here. And so this isn't just a birding area, it's really a nature preserve.
Yeah, we try our best to create the best possible habitat for, when you manage for birds, you end up creating good habitat for a lot of other critters, so.
Great, great. Well, make sure you come out. They've got restrooms here, and now we're gonna head towards the Rookery, where I love it. Hopefully the fog doesn't slow us down. Well, despite the fog behind us, you really can't see the view from up here, but I wanted to show y'all the benches that we have. And on a clear day, you can't beat this, because a lot of the times the birds are almost flying at eye level.
Right, yep.
Especially, I've come up here and shot the rosettas, and man, you can't get a more picture perfect with the sun coming through the wings, than sitting up here, because it seems like they're about eye level. What can people expect to see from this upper deck? And we're fixing to go down to the lower decks and show that here at the Rookery, but is there much difference what they'll see or notice up here?
Well, one great thing about being elevated is it gives you a much better look at our healthy American alligator population. Yeah. And so
they've got some big gators.
We've got some large gators. But that's really the reason why we have so many birds nesting here, is because we have gators that are able to patrol around these islands and keep the raccoons and all these other terrestrial predators out and away from where all the eggs and the nests are. The gators get a handful of birds every year, but it's a good trade for the couple thousand other birds that are able to nest because of that protection. So,
and when he says big gators, I think last year I estimated one to be about 13 feet long. And I mean, between his eyes was about like this. But you'll see him if you look along the lower, right at the water's edge a lot of times, here and all down the path, you'll see them. Do people have to worry about them coming up, or do they usually stay out there?
No, if you do happen to see a gator on a path, they're usually small. Give them their space. If you feel concerned, you can let us know. And,
okay.
But we've never had an issue, and they're not really interested in people. They've got plenty of fish and
plenty of food. Yeah, great.
Turtles to eat.
Well, we're going to go downstairs now and let you see what it's like at several of their viewing platforms. Hey everybody, well we're down at ground level on the Rookery. We were on the skywalk at several locations, and now we're at one of the viewing platforms. How many platforms do we have along the Rookery?
About 6.
Are they by reservations, or can you just walk up and use them?
For the most time, they're open. During certain times of years, we might have a few that are reserved, but for the most part, they're here, and they're specifically now we encourage photographers to use them with their tripods rather than using the elevated walkway, just so you give other folks a chance to see.
Great. Speaking of tripods, are there any rules about tripods down here? I know some areas you can't use them. Some areas say you can only stay there for a certain time. Are there any rules down here for people that want to set up and maybe take some pictures?
Again, down here we encourage folks to, you can use tripods at these platforms, and if we're really busy and there's a lot of people, try to limit it to an hour, 2 hours, give other people a chance. We ask that folks don't set their tripods up right in the middle of the trails. Okay. And again, we dissuade people from using tripods on the canopy. Because there are a lot of people walking in and out, tripping hazard, that kind of thing.
Great. I can tell you, I've been up here and shot, and a lot of times I'm doing short clips, but I'll do 75 to 120 clips in an hour. You really have to pick your shot. Let's talk about nesting and the birds that are coming in, because right now, here we are, and it's sort of thin out there compared to what you typically see here. So when will it start coming in? I know some rosettas have started coming in. What can we think on time frame on birds nesting and what we'll see?
So it's a little different every year, but for the most part, right about now there are a couple dozen neotropic cormorants that are already on nests, and if you can hear that grunting in the background,
almost like hogs.
Exactly. Those are the displaying cormorants, and so the cormorants and the great egrets always begin, sometime in late February, early March. They're the biggest, and so they need to find spaces at the edges of the trees. All the other species are a little bit smaller and more nimble, and so they can actually build their nests in the depths of the vegetation that we have. So they don't necessarily start as early. By the end of March, so in about a month, I would expect the snowy egrets will start displaying. They kind of sound like Donald Duck. They do a kind of a gargle, and they'll start nest building. The roseate spoonbills kind of start nesting around that time as well. And then by April, we have
it's in full swing.
Yeah, everybody that started nesting is continuing to either incubate, or maybe some slow individuals that weren't as, on their game, they'll start building nests. The tricolored herons and the cattle egrets will start building nests. So it gets very loud very quick.
Yeah, and let me tell you, it was neat last year because I came out here, and I can't remember if it was you or Winnie had said, yeah, we saw our first eggs. And so I came out and I was able to film with the egg, and it was bluish color, if I'm not mistaken. And then being able to go back and see the chicks, and with the new lens I'd gotten, we were able to see them feeding. And it was just neat watching those chicks over the weeks grow and grow and grow. And then next thing I knew, I was out here and those chicks were gone. And a whole different group was nesting. And so the tricolored heron, they're beautiful birds. In fact, all of them out here, especially once we get some greenery out here, they really pop out. And I had a buddy of mine that was out here that was a photographer, more of a photographer, a lot more than I was. And he was griping about some of the foliage. And I said, look, man, that's a natural frame. You got to work around it. I said, that's what it's all about here, is framing your shot and looking at it and then going home and making it your shot, because there's shots out here, and the closeness that you can get to the birds to get those shots, you won't find anywhere else that I know of.
Yeah, we're very proud of our nesting population here. Most years we end up having the largest number of nesting roseate spoonbills on the upper Texas coast. And I'm not familiar with a place where you can get as close. To get, photographs or just to enjoy.
Yeah, it's just, if you're a photographer and want to get into birding, let me tell you, when you get out of your car, go ahead and set your shutter speed at a minimum of 2,500 so that you can get just maybe a hair blur or at least a clear shot, and then go up from there. I can spend hours out here taking photos and videos, and we're going to have more of that in the weeks to come. So is there any last words of wisdom for the Rookery that you want people to know about?
When we have staff and volunteers here, when the season's in full swing, we'll often have a volunteer staff member up here on the canopy with the spotting scope. Feel free to ask questions. We're here to give you the information that you want. And share this resource with you. So,
and let me tell you, as far as whether it's a volunteer or a staff member, education is what they're all about. And don't be afraid to ask what a bird is, or if they've seen a bird, maybe you wanted to see it up close, because the knowledge that their staff has out here, the young college-age students, is just unbelievable. And don't be scared to come out in the afternoon. I keep hearing about it, and I haven't spent a whole lot of time, but this year I'm going to spend more time in the afternoon, because I've heard about when they all start coming into nest, that's when y'all do your birds count, in fact.
Yeah, so in the evenings they come into roost. Just be mindful that the sanctuary does close at sunset.
Okay.
But about an hour and a half before sunset, you'll start getting birds trickling in, and it's the same deal. They've been feeding out in the marshes all day, and these alligators and these freshwater ponds provide a lot of protection from coyotes or hogs or any potential predators, and so they'll fill in all of these islands. It'll be full of noisy roosting birds.
In fact, I'm going to come out here and shoot some sound clips just for that reason. So, Wyatt, thanks for taking the time for today. Remember, for more information on the Houston Audubon and all their stops, not just here in High Island, but also in Houston and the surrounding area, make sure you visit their website at www.houstonaudubon.org. Is that right?
Yep.
Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us, and we'll see you next Monday from another point here at Smith Oaks. Bye-bye.
A huge thank you to the amazing sponsors of the 2026 Birding on Bolivar series. Looking for fun coastal style on Bolivar Peninsula? Stop by Beachy Beatnik Boutique in Crystal Beach for unique clothing, gifts, and beach-inspired fashions you won't find anywhere else. Shop local, shop coastal, and discover your perfect beach vibe at Beachy Beatnik Boutique. Protect what matters most with Priest Insurance Agency, serving Bolivar Peninsula and the Texas coast. For home and windstorm to auto and flood coverage, their local team has you covered. Call Priest Insurance Agency today and get peace of mind from people who live and work right here. Discover the beauty of coastal wildlife with Houston Audubon on Bolivar Peninsula. From guided bird walks to habitat conservation, they're protecting the birds and places we love. Learn more, get involved, and experience nature up close with Houston Audubon today. Thank you for your support of Birding on Bolivar 2026.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show or part of the show. The secret phrase today is, ready? Write this down. I walked the canopy walk at the Rookery. I walked the canopy walk at the Rookery. That's today's secret phrase. Now go find the Bolivar Live truck on the beach so you can win an RTIC cooler loaded with goodies.
Thank you to these 2026 video equipment sponsors. Crystal Beach Decor and More, located at 1959 Highway 87. Beachy Beatnik Boutique, located at 970 Surfside and Highway 87. And Latitude 29 Surf Shop, located at 1400 Highway 87. Thank you to these area businesses for being our 2026 video equipment sponsors for Bolivar Live.